This is Songs of War Audiobook Season 2 Episode 2, narrated by J. Rousseau, known online as J33721. Sen climbed onto the shrine island, breathing in the crisp morning air. The tranquil surroundings were empty, and he felt a twinge of uncertainty. "Hello, I'm, here for my training," he called out, his voice echoing slightly. As Sen waited, something suddenly whizzed over his head, prompting him to duck instinctively. He looked up just in time to see a figure soaring gracefully above him. A young Ardoni, her wings shimmering with light. She banked sharply and landed softly in front of him, her wings fading into a radiant glow. "Good morning, Sen. Nice to meet you. I'm Val Mendoris, your new instructor," she announced with a bright smile. Surprised, Sen blinked. He had expected an older mentor, not someone his own age, or younger in fact. "Hi, good morning, Kai Val," he stumbled, bowing awkwardly. "There's no need for the formalities," Val assured him, circling him slowly, inspecting him with keen eyes. "Just call me Val. Not what you expected? Thought you'd be bossed around by another old man. Trust me, things are going to be much more fun now." Val stopped her circling, her gaze serious. "I can see Gallius has been training you well. The first thing to know about songs is that you must be fit both physically and mentally, as they will draw from all forms of your strength." She gestured to the song shrine. "Step on up into the shrine." Sen walked into the shrine, drawing his song with a sense of reverence. "Do you know why there are 4 pillars?" Val asked. "One for each order of songs, Protesium, Aggressium, Mobilium, and Saporium," Sen replied, the symbols on each pillar flashing in his mind. "Good, you've done your reading. That means we can skip the boring stuff. Go ahead and put your song in the Protesium pillar." As Sen complied, Val continued. "Each Ardoni can only wield a total of 4 songs, one of each order, so you must choose your set wisely." "Unless you have a prime song?" Sen added. "Exactly. A prime song contains all the songs within that order. Wield all 4 primes and you will have every song in existence." The weight of her words settled over them. "Stand in the middle of the shrine," Val instructed. Sen did as he was told and waited, feeling the energy around him shift. "Now what?" he asked. "Listen." A faint noise began to resonate. Sen closed his eyes, focusing on his song. It grew louder, drawing him in. He raised his arm toward it, and suddenly the song transformed into energy, surrounding him and merging with his body. His Ardoni markings glowed brightly, and in an instant he felt a rush. Then darkness enveloped him. Sen awoke in the familiar confines of the blacksmith. He staggered to his feet, confusion clouding his mind. "What happened?" he managed to ask. "You passed out. Fear not, it happens to all of us the first time. If you think that was bad, just wait until you summon your song for the first time." Gallius chuckled, a glimmer of amusement in his eyes. "Where's Val?" "She's fine. She went back to her quarters. You two will resume training tomorrow. If you have properly recovered, of course." Sen pondered the weight of their earlier conversation. "Was the Death Singer the best with the songs?" Gallius paused, his expression thoughtful. "Ingressus Voltaris was indeed one of the best. During the last Nether invasion, a tournament was held to determine a champion among the Ardoni. They tested for strength, endurance, and ingenuity. But do you know what they should have been looking for?" "What?" Sen asked, intrigued. "Someone who should use them." Sen frowned, uncertainty gnawing at him. Just then, a loud crash interrupted their conversation, causing both to look towards the noise. A large figure had landed just out of sight, scattering objects to the ground. Suddenly Luna appeared, and Sen felt a mix of fear and curiosity. Gallius, however, seemed intrigued. "So, the rumors are true," he murmured, approaching the dragon. "Be careful, she bites," a voice warned from the doorway. Gallius turned to see Abigail entering. "I'm glad you received my message, Abigail. Welcome. My name is Gallius Sendaris." "How do you know my name?" she asked, bewildered. Gallius glanced at Sen. "Sen, finish your work in the forge. Abigail and I have much to discuss." Their eyes met, and Abigail smiled, recognizing Sen. He smiled back, a sense of camaraderie blossoming between them. Cutting to the lower level, Gallius and Abigail stood leaning on a railing, overlooking Ataraxia. Luna flew around playfully, her joy infectious. "It was no real challenge locating you. Collecting information is a specialty of mine," Gallius said. "First, a dragon egg went missing, then reports indicated one hatched, and I simply followed the trail of fires." Abigail looked at Luna, who perched on a nearby rock. "Yeah, she has a bad habit of that. I don't even want to know what it'll be like when she learns to breathe fire of her own." Gallius's tone shifted. "You have spent the last half-year hunting down the unyielding legion. Noble, I suppose, but not driven by a desire to save the innocent. You have a personal vengeance against them." Abigail looked away, guilt washing over her. "You are destined for much more, Abigail. You've known it since the moment you found Luna's egg. How would you like to fight your real enemy?" Luna nudged Abigail eagerly. "I mean, we have unfinished business with the Legion," she began, but the uncertainty lingered in her eyes. Gallius nodded, sensing her hesitation. "How much do you know about the Ender Knights?" "Very little, I'm afraid. I know they used to rule Ardonia, but there haven't been any in over 100 years. "Every so often a human is chosen," Gallius explained, looking towards Luna. "What intrigues me is that never in history has a female Ender Knight been chosen." Abigail's surprise was evident. "What does this mean?" "I'm not sure, but it opens new possibilities. With the Ender Knight's return, we could have an Ender Queen." She frowned, absorbing the gravity of the situation. "If there are other Ender Knights, how can I find them?" "Assuming you recovered an Eye of the End from the Legion smugglers, it will guide you. I will also provide you a weapon from my armory." "Thank you, Gallius. I don't know how I can repay you for such gifts." "Whenever the Ender Knights rise, the Nether follows. If that happens, you can repay me by fighting with us against it. There's only one blacksmith in Ardonia who can create obsidian armor. You must venture to the End Realm, Abigail, and reclaim the armor of the Ender Knights. There, you will become the Ender Queen." Meanwhile, in Fort Zuka, Kiyoshi and Lucan led the Felden troops through the front gate, determination etched on their faces. "Fan out. Look for tunnel breaches," Kiyoshi commanded. Lucan's eyes scanned the area, searching for Nika. He stepped between buildings, and as he did, the camera tilted up to reveal her, perched above, her expression unsettling. "Nika!" he called out, worry creeping into his tone. She tilted her head, mimicking the eerie way the Necrolord did. Abruptly, she charged at him, sword drawn. Lucan defended himself, blocking her strikes as the tension escalated. "Ah!" he shouted, as he was thrown to the ground. Just as she prepared to strike him down, Kiyoshi intervened, intercepting Nika with his halberd. They exchanged blows, Kiyoshi clearly gaining the upper hand, until she retreated into the shadows. "Is she always like that?" Kiyoshi asked Lucan, who was still catching his breath. "Never. Well, sometimes. But this was different," Lucan replied, frustration evident in his voice. Back in the tent, Kiyoshi debriefed the troops, the air heavy with tension. "Another defeat. First Riverstead, now Fort Zuka." He pointed to a map, tracing the movements of their enemies. "They're advancing north toward the capital, Philora. The next attack will be on Ferndale. Fortunately, their movements are slower underground, giving us time to prepare." "Wait, we're not going down after them?" Lucan asked, incredulous. "The tunnels are their territory. Down there we would be outnumbered," Kiyoshi replied. "Our priority is to evacuate the civilians in Ferndale." Lucan nodded. The reluctance lingered in his eyes. "I have also received a message from Northwind. They're sending a chronicler down to join us." The room buzzed with surprise. Alex spoke up. "If Northwind is sending a chronicler, the situation is dire. Our war with the necromancers may well be written on the next wall of time." Turning to Lucan, Kiyoshi smirked. "Since you have no real military training, I'm assigning you to watch after the chronicler. She's a Felina female, just the sort of tale you like to chase." Lucan lunged at Kiyoshi, but guards quickly intervened, pulling him away. "If you want to fight me, it should at least be fair," Kiyoshi taunted. Lucan retaliated, and they fell into a brief scuffle, the tension between them palpable. "I'm traveling to the other kingdoms for reinforcements. I'll return as soon as possible," Kiyoshi declared, looking back at Lucan and Alec. "And take him to a doctor, make sure he's ready to receive the chronicler." Meanwhile, Sen and Val stood in the training grounds, the sun shining brightly overhead. Sen focused intently, attempting to activate his song. "Keep going, Sen, you've almost got it," Val encouraged. An energy shield flickered around Sen, before dissipating. "Oh, did you see that?" he said, a mix of excitement and pride. "It looked like some sort of energy shield," Val replied, intrigued. "Do you have any other songs besides your wings?" Sen asked, curious. "I have an Aggressium song, but Gallius doesn't want us using them during training," she explained, glancing toward the blacksmith. "However, Gallius isn't watching. Come here," Val said, her eyes glinting with mischief. Val led Sen to a secluded area, her demeanor shifting to one of secrecy. "You can wield most songs with your body alone, but with Aggressium songs you can channel their energy through a staff or weapon." Without warning, Val unleashed her Aggressium song. It spiraled lazily through the air, curving downwards, and striking the side of the blacksmith's forge. "Now would be a good time to go, come on," she urged, and they sprinted away, leaping off the island with a tumble. "Well, that went well," Sen remarked, grinning as they landed. "Hey, it could have gone a lot worse. Gallius hates songs, especially Aggressium." Val laughed, and they settled side by side, gazing over Ataraxia as the sun began to set. "I wonder why he no longer uses songs," Sen mused, his mind racing. "Much about Gallius remains a mystery. He used to train Ardoni to wield them, but after the Great War I believe he lost many of his students. Some of his brothers. He blames the songs for their deaths," Val explained, her tone somber. "What do you think?" Sen asked. "I think there's more to the story," she replied thoughtfully. "He knew the war was coming." Sen's heart raced as they contemplated the impending battle. "My family was killed by the Voltaris, and I've done nothing to avenge them." "That's not exactly true. You've learned much that will help you in a fight. Perhaps it's time to join the real battle," Val encouraged. As they watched the sun dip below the horizon, Sen felt a surge of determination. Meanwhile, in the desert, Igneous stood on a sand dune gazing at the imposing Carthan wall. "That's the Carthan wall. If you want to go in there, you must be dumber than a chef who sells mushroom soup. Only it ain't mushroom soup because they didn't put shroom in it, Aaron quipped, his tone light despite the seriousness of the situation. Confused, Igneous raised an eyebrow. So, how do we pass through? We don't. That wall was made as a message to people like yourself to stay out. What Carthan doesn't want you to know is that they don't have the defences to watch the entire border. Head west along the mountains, you'll find the pass, Aaron advised. Thank you, Aaron, Igneous replied, steeling himself for the journey ahead. Good luck, Igneous. You're the bravest Magnerite fool I've ever met. May we meet again, Aaron called as he walked off into the desert. Igneous pressed on, crossing the vast expanse of Carthan. As he approached a large doorway in the cliff, anticipation thrummed in his veins. Stepping inside, he gazed upon the great hall of Tartarus, the capital of Carthan, where new challenges awaited him. To be continued.